ज्ञानतिमिरान्धस्य ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः। श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्। वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरो श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुं वैष्णवांश श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथान्वितं तं सजीवम् साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवम् श्रीराधाकृष्णपादान् सहगण ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितांश्च नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिन्निति नामिने। नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यदेशतारिणे। हे कृष्णा करुणा सिंधु दीनबंधु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कांत राधा कांत नमस्तुते। तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये। वाञ्छाकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। Hare Krishna. So welcome back to the Saturday and Sunday discussion on the Sri Harinam CINTAMANI, chapter 15. Especially we are discussing the Prayojan, how a sadhaka attains Siddhi, perfection. What are the fine inner journey, how he attains this perfection, what states he goes through. So all that is a discussion of the Prayojan. And I'm also seeing that as we are discussing the Prayojan, the number of participants uh, in this forum is coming down. It should go up because we are attaining the goal. So I'll just briefly recap what we discussed in the last class. We have been discussing about how the name reveals the name, form, qualities, pastimes. And ultimately, we have to enter into the pastimes of the Lord. Now, to enter into the pastimes of the Lord, firstly, one has to become free from the Dashanama Prad and attain taste for chanting the holy names. And when we attain that taste at the stage of Bhava, our subtle body is destroyed and we attain Siddhi, perfection. And then the next stage is beyond description. It is only to be experienced. And there are these 11 items in the progression of the Ujjvala Ras or the Madhurya Ras, the Ekadasha Bhav. And These 5 states is what we go through the uh, 5 states is the course of advancement to the Ujjvala Ras to attain perfection. Bhava Sadhana Pancha Dasha. So again, I would like to know from the devotees, and slowly, when you are going to these 5 states, we attain these 11, our spiritual identity, my form, my age, my name, my group, my garments, all this 11, Ekadasha bhavs. So I would like to know from the devotees which are the 5 states. Anyone would like to answer? Which are the 5 states we go through? Pancha Dasha. Dasha it is, no? States. Anyone remembers? Virendra Yadav Prabhuji had answered last time. So I will not take. I will only ask. Amal Bhakti Rani Mataji. Which are the 5 dashas? Okay. Sunita Mataji. Been unmuting y'all. I don't know. Yes, Sunita Mataji. Yes.
Hare Krishna Prabhu, Dandavat Pranam. It is Shravan Dasha, Smaran Dasha, Varan Dasha, and the fourth one I don't remember. Last is Sampatti. Apanna and Sampatti.
Yeah, Apan Dasha. Smaran Dasha, Varan Dasha, second.
Yes.
Then third is Smaran Dasha.
Okay.
And then after Smaran Dasha is Apan Dasha, and then Sampatti Dasha. Okay. So when you are going to these 5 states, you attain, progressively the Ekadasha bhavas. Now, in the last class, if you remember, we practically spent the entire class on Shravan Dasha. Now, I would like to know from devotees, when we attain the stage of Shravan Dasha. When we attain this stage of Shravan Dasha. Chaitan Guruji. Yes, Guruji, I am unmuted you.
Krishna Prabhu. Prabhu, sorry Prabhu, I could not follow the last class. I'm not able to answer.
Okay. Virendra Yadav Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. It is Prabhuji, unsteady hearing, it's a Shravana Dasha.
No. You got it. Unsteady hearing is not Shravan Dasha. You have attained the Shravan Dasha. Sunita Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. I will explain the state of the devotee. The devotee cannot hear anything except Krishna. Means, for example, you had given example of Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur that he could hear the sound of the flute when the train was going on the track. So
Shravan Dasha, yes. Shravan Dasha is basically attained at the stage of Nishtha. At the stage of Nishtha, by regularly hearing about the holy name, at Bhajan Kriya and Anarth Nivritti, the hearing is unsteady. This is not Shravan Dasha, please remember. But at Nishtha, one attains the Shravan Dasha. Here, actually, the Shravan Dasha should also be mentioned. He attains the Shravan Dasha where he has attraction for hearing Krishna's pastimes, especially the 10th canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, based on his mood. He likes Sakras, so he likes Krishna's pastimes with his friends in the forest. Or he has attraction for the Madhuri Ras, so he hears more the pastimes of Krishna with the gopis. Or he has attraction for the Vatsalya Ras, so he hears the Bal Leela pastimes. So Tattad Madhuri, hearing the sweetness of the loving reciprocations of Krishna with his devotees, bhava lipsunam. He also wants to attain that bhav mood. And then he practices Raganuga Bhakti because his heart is also purified at the stage of Nishtha, and he is now qualified to practice Raganuga Bhakti. He is a self-realized soul, so that's most important to understand. And slowly now his spiritual identity is gradually being revealed. And that happens by his own internal purity and with the assistance of an expert spiritual master. The Ekadasha Bhavs gradually start getting unfathomed. Sorry, not unfathomed, getting uncovered. So that is the stage. Now today, as I'd promised last time, that we will also discuss the Shravan Dasha from Jaiva Dharma. Jaiva Dharma is a novel written by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, where this is one of the most classic books, you can say, where Bhaktivinoda Thakur, right from Tattva, in the first, you can say, 25 chapters, first 25 chapters, highly philosophical Tattva he presents. And from 25 onwards, he moves to Rasa. 26 is Rasa Tattva. Then there is, Anubhava, Satviki Bhav, Vabhichari Bhav, which we have discussed. Then the Mukhya Rati, principal attachment. Then the Rasas, Shanta, Dasi, Sakya. Then Vatsulya and Madhurya. And after discussing these 5 rasas, then he devotes from 31 onwards, practically till 40 is Madhuri Ras. Because I told Madhuri is what Mahaprabhu has come to give. So Madhuri Ras, he speaks part 1, part 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then perfection, part 1, 2, how to attain perfection in Madhuri Shringar Ras. Then entering into the pastimes of the Lord. This is what we have been discussing now in Harinam Chintamani, how to enter into the pastimes. Because now by chanting name, we have understood Abhinnatvam Namanami, form is manifesting in the heart, Mat Chitta Mat Gata Prana. Then qualities, now we are relishing the pastimes, and now I have a lalasa, siddha lalasa of entering into the pastimes. Then the Ekadasha Bhavs have to be known, and we go through these 5 states. So in the Sampati Dasha, the state of perfection, which is also now the 15th chapter of Harinam Chintamani, Harinam Chintamani discusses in jest, but Jaiva Dharma goes into a lot finer details. So first thing is one should study these tattvas very nicely after we have thoroughly studied Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, Chaitanya Charitamrita, very and solidly grounded in the Krishna conscious philosophy. And then slowly with the blessings of the Shiksha Gurus, Diksha Gurus, and our spiritual mentors, we should have these kind of discussions on Jaiva Dharma, which is a very wonderful novel. In fact, Jaiva Dharma, you can find the Sambandha Gyan, basic philosophy of Bhagavad Gita in it. Then you'll find the Upanishad Gyan, then the Dashamula Tattva, the Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, and practically 4 or 5 books combined together is Jaiva Dharma. So in the Sampati Dasha, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is going to, what's happening? Yeah, he's going to speak about the Shravan Dasha, which is very important for us. So I'm going to discuss this. So it is a conversation basically. So Vijay Kumar is asking questions to Goswami. Vijay Kumar, pondering deeply, had concluded, by hearing the pastimes of Krishna, of Vraja, I have naturally developed love within my heart for that Leela. And thus I will gradually elevate to Sampati Dasha, the perfection of life, attainment of the transcendental goal. So now again, see this statement. So when do we attain Shravan Dasha? Anyone? When do we attain Shravan Dasha? Yes, Pirendra Yadav Prabhuji. You can see the screen
Oh.
also.
I think, Prabhuji, when we are always engaged in hearing Krishna Katha, always hearing.
You see the statement here and you can point out the points.
When we have developed lobh.
Yes. First is when we develop lobh in our heart for that Leela, and you're hating Vraj Leela.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Vraj Leela. And now you have developed a lobh also, and you're following the Ragatmika Bhaktas, and you have a Lalsa, Siddha Lalsa. Now I want to enter into that pastimes. Then you start going from the Shravan Dasha to the Sampati Dasha.
Yes.
So
yes.
you go through these 5 states. Understanding and inspired by this, Vijay now considered it important to clarify some points on the gradual ascension to Sampati Dasha. It's a gradual ascension, please remember. So with this in mind, he approached Sri Gopal Guru Goswami, humbly inquiring. So Gopal Guru Goswami is one Goswami. We have Gopal Guru Goswami in our line also. So this is a novel setting, but sometimes there are true personalities from Chaitanya Leela also, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, because he is our Acharya. Raghunath Das Goswami and Gopal Guru Goswami are Acharya on how to attain perfection, because this science was revealed to them by Mahaprabhu and his associates. Gurudev, how many dashas? Again, it is not dasha or dasa, it is dashas. Dasha. A means dirgha, long A. Levels, dasha levels of states are there from Shravana up to the perfection known as Sampati Dasha. So Shravan means it is not unsteady hearing, but it is steady hearing of Krishna Leela where you have developed greed and you want to attain perfection. Okay, Goswami. All in all, there are 5 dashas: Shravan Dasha, hearing; Varan Dasha, acceptance; Smaran Dasha, remembering; Bhavapana Dasha is Apana Dasha or Bhavapana. Both are same. Attainment of ecstatic spiritual emotion. Now, Bhavapan means, Bhaktivinoda Thakur is giving a much better, clear terminology. Is Bhavapan means one attains Bhava. And Prema Sampati Dasha, attainment of the ultimate goal, Krishna Prem. So here Sampati Dasha, he puts a prefix Prem. So Sampati Dasha is attained at the stage of Prem. Now, we are now interested in Shravan Dasha because Shravan Dasha is important. Kindly describe Shravan Dasha. Okay. He describes Goswami. When a person develops faith in hearing Krishna conscious topics, we understand that his taste for the inane and mundane has decreased. And that correspondingly his desire for esoteric transcendence has increased. Krishna conscious topics should be heard from an elevated devotee, as explained in the Srimad Bhagavatam, a Rasika Bhakta. So you have, movement. How can you understand you attained the Shravan Dasha? You go back to your home after doing a 16 rounds, and even if your wife speaks something material, you feel a distaste in your heart. You just don't want to hear anything except Krishna Katha nectar. So this is that your taste for the inane and the mundane has decreased, and correspondingly to attain here transcendent, esoteric transcendence has increased. And this hearing you do from a very rasik devotee, and he gives a praman 429:40. Tasmin maha mukharita madhubicharitra piyush shesha sarita parita shravanti taye pibantya avitrishna ripa ghad karne tana sparshanti ashana trid bhaya shoka moha. O king, If one gets a chance to hear from elevated saints the topics of the qualities of Krishna, which are flowing river of nectar, Piyusha Shesha Sarita Parita Shravanti, and drinks this nectar, Piyusha means to sing, with single-minded absorption and faith. Pibanti avitrishno nripaghada karne. Then hunger, thirst, fear, lamentation. Ashana, trid, bhaya, shokamo, and other such unwanted determinants will never be able to assail one. He will not be afflicted by these things. So this is the state where one is attained by Shravan Dasha, and this is the reference. Now, the important points here is that when you're hearing Krishna Katha, your karna, Kada karna, your pibhanti, you're drinking. So there is no hunger. From morning to late afternoon, you are hearing and you are not remembering food because you have been nourished by the nectar of Krishna Katha. There is no hunger, thirst, fear, lamentation, illusion. So we can understand that, Shravan Dasha is quite elevated. So now he's going to clarify. Occasionally, materially engrossed people feel interested to hear Krishna conscious topics. What is the nature of such hearing? Now, who are the materially engrossed people? Raise your hands. Every statement of Bhaktivinoda Thakur is to be scrutinizingly understood. Who are the materially engrossed people which is referring here? Anyone? The materially engrossed are we, the devotees only. Because materialist people who don't have faith, they don't hear Krishna conscious topics. So we are materially engrossed throughout the day with our work, because of our conditioning, we like to do what we like and not exclusively do all our activity exclusively for the pleasure of Krishna. Anya Bilashita Shri. Then what is that nature of such hearing? Okay, here, Goswami. There is a gulf of difference between a person who is Bahirmukh, constantly attracted by external matter nature, and a person who is Antarmukh, looking inwards to the real self and the Supreme Lord. So, we devotees, where are we? Are we Bahirmukh or Antarmukh? I want that we have little interactive discussion so that we understand this discussion. Yes, Birendra Yadav Proji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Most time we are Bahirmukh. Mostly we are
Bahirmukh. Yes. Okay. Sunita Mataji, you have to say something?
Same thing, Prabhuji.
Yeah, fine. Bahirmukh. Okay, so Bahirmukh and Antarmukh. So we are attracted to the external material energy. For Bahirmukh materialistic persons, hearing about Krishna occurs by chance, not because of applied Shraddha. If we have full faith, then we'll not hear anything. However, such hearing is designated as Bhakti Unmukh Sukruti. So we are right now every day hearing Bhagavatam, festival classes, hearing from our spiritual masters. We are attaining the Sukruti, by which our Sukruti will become fully matured, and then we have that full faith. And that full faith is surrender. Complete faith is synonymous to surrender. Anya Bilashita Shunyam Jnana Karma Dhyanavritam Anukulena Krishnanu Shilanam Bhaktirutam, where we exclusively practice Ananya Bhakti and nothing else. Or as Krishna says, Sarva Dharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Braja Aham Tvam Sarva Papebhyo Mokshishyami Masucha. As Krishna also says. We completely surrender and we fully practice only Krishna Katha 24 hours, day and night. So now, right now, our stage is by hearing regularly in the association, occasionally you can say, not regularly. We should become regular. We should not become occasional hearers. We are now attaining Sukruti. And this is Bhakti Unmukh Sukruti. Piety based on nascent devotional inclination and continued may eventually beget Shraddha in some later life. Now this Shraddha is Purna Shraddha. This is Purna full faith. So right now we are not at the stage of Purna Shraddha because Purna Shraddha means Shraddha Shabde Vishwas Sudruda Nishchay Krishna Bhakti Kaila Sarva Karma Krit hoy. You have so much faith that let me only do Krishna Bhakti and nothing else. And Krishna will take care of everything. Just leave everything. So that faith we don't have. Right now we think, oh, my duty, my work, my maintaining my body. But at the stage of full Shraddha, Krishna will maintain my family. I have to simply 24 hours fix my consciousness on Krishna. Ananyas Chintayanto Mam. So that is Purna Shraddha. So right now, where are we? Where are we? Among these two stages which I mentioned, where are we situated? Are we at the stage of Purna Shraddha or are we hearing Krishna Katha so that we can attain that Purna Shraddha? That is what Bhaktivinoda Thakur is mentioning as Bhakti Unmukh Sukruti. Where are we? Yes, Sunita Mataji.
Bhakti Unmukh Sukruti.
Yes, we are there. Jata Shraddha Mat Katasu, even in the Uddagata. Nirvinna Sarva Karmasu. Jata Shraddha means that faith, pure faith you have developed. Nirvinna, you give up all activity. And if you're doing also any activity, that activity you're fully remember Krishna and you're doing it for Krishna's pleasure. But we are also doing so many activities throughout the day. And there is no remembrance of Krishna, and we do those activities for maintaining ourselves. So we get that Purna Shraddha. However, having gained Shraddha, the eager sadhaka thirsts to hear the qualities and pastimes of Krishna from an elevated devotee. This is required condition for hearing at Shravan Dasha. I hope now we understand, when you attain the Shravan Dasha, when you have full faith and you have developed intense lobe for hearing Krishna's pastimes from an elevated devotee. And then you have come to the stage of Shravan Dasha. Now, Shravan Dasha is of two types. Krama Shuddha Shravan Dasha, hearing in proper sequence, and Krama Hina Shravan Dasha, hearing in haphazard fashion. Now, this analysis of Shravan Dasha into two, Krama Shuddha and Krama Hina, is important for us. That's why I have taken up this topic of Shravan Dasha from Jaiva Dharma. Although in Bhaktivinoda Thakur's Harinam Chintamani, he doesn't go into more finer details about this, but he has spoken about it in Jaiva Dharma. So this we need to know so that we can at least come to the stage of Shravan Dasha. We come to the stage of Shravan Dasha, then perfection is very quickly guaranteed. Okay, Vijay is asking question. Kindly explain Kramahina Shravan Dasha. Hearing the different pastimes of Krishna in an improper sequence and manner is known as Kramahina. Krama means Krama, step by step, first, second, third step, fourth step. Hina means it's not step by step, it's haphazard. In addition, hearing without aspiration for a particular rasa results a barrier in the flow of rasa, thus preventing the hearer from finding entrance to the pastimes. I will explain a little more in detail and some practical application as sadhakas who are now at Bhakti Unmutsukriti, where we are trying to develop that Shraddha. So what we have to do about this? Let me finish this Krama Shuddha Shavandasha. Kindly explain Krama Shuddha Shavandasha, Goswami. Krishna Lila should be heard in proper sequence with resolute, enlightened intelligence by a soul thirsting to augment rasa. Augment means to increase rasa. Then such focused hearing becomes conducive to the actual evocation of rasa. Evocation means to evoke the rasa. In this manner, hearing the Nitya Leela of the Ashtakaliya Leela and the Naimiktak Leela, such as the birth of Krishna, is called as Krama Shuddha Shravan Dasha. On the path of bhajan, constant engagement in this Krama Shuddha Shravan Dasha is essential for the proper and successful unfolding of Bhakti Ras. Let me finish these two paragraphs and then I'll go back to more discussion on Kramahina and Krama Shuddha. The sweet relish of Krishna's pastimes is progressively manifest through the committed Shravan, Krama Shuddha Shravan. And thus the hearer's latent taste for Raganuga Bhakti is spontaneously aroused. So if you remember now the chart, here the Raganuga Bhakti begins. He is in unsteady hearing. It is Anishtita Shravandasha. Here he is in Shravandasha, and then he is moving forward now. The hearer thinks, oh, how wonderful is the Sakya Bhav of Subal. I wish to serve Krishna in that mood of a camaraderie exhibited by Subal. This eager tendency is called Lobh. Pursuing with Lobh the devotional sentiments of the residents of Raja is the essence of Raganu Bhakti. Pursuing the Lobh of the devotional sentiments of the residents, the Ragatmikas, is pursuing means following in their footsteps, is Raganuga. I have given an example of Sakras. Similarly, in the other three rasas, Dasya, Vatsalya, Madhurya, Raganuga Bhakti also finds full expression. You are eligible for Shringar Madhurya Ras by the mercy of Sri Nimai, the Lord of my heart. Hence, you have developed Lobh inspired by the service and the mood of the Vraj Gopis. And this Lobh has brought you to your present part of attainment. The confidential instructions given by the Guru to his disciple for the evocation of rasa is the essence of Shravandasha. So at the stage of this Nishta, then the Rasika spiritual master gives confidential instructions how he can. His rasa is from his constitution, he also understands, spiritual master is also able to understand. And then how to invoke that rasa, he gives confidential instructions. Now, where are we now? Actually, we know what is Shravandasha. Where are we now? Where are we now? Again, let us come back to the ground reality. Where are we now? Anyone? Where are we now? What about others? They're not raising their hands. Yes, Mataji.
We are not even at Shravandasha.
We are not even at Shravandasha. That we have to come to that factual reality. Otherwise, we'll be in illusion. We are still only in the stage where we are attaining Bhakti Unmuksukriti. So now, let's not go into the Kramahina Shavandasha and Krama Shuddha Shavandasha. We are practicing Anishtita Bhajan Kriya very little, and most of the time we are doing karma. So it's mixed devotion we are doing. We are not doing Ananya Bhakti. Because only when we do Ananya Bhakti, then the stages of Sadhu Sangha, Bhajan Kriya, Anarth Nivritti, Nishta begin. Ananya Bhakti onwards. So there is mixed devotion and there is some direct devotion in the form of chanting our holy names, attending festivals, hearing Bhagavatam, Bhagavat Marga, and the deity worship, all that. So now we at least, it's not Krama Shuddha Shavandasha, I can say. It is Krama Shavandasha. In the Anishtita stage, or where we are practicing mixed devotion, we should systematically hear, study Prabhupada books. Systematically, we should study. Like Srila Prabhupada's small books, we study them. And then we study Bhagavad Gita regularly, every day. Just like every day we have 16 rounds of chanting and following the 4 regular principles. We study as a sadhana Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita every day. And then many of the small books are connected to Prabhupada's, like Raj Vidya's 9th chapter, like that. We correlate and systematically study Prabhupada books. And then we study the Bhakti Shastri books like Nectar of Devotion, Nectar of Instruction, the Ish Upanishads, and the Bhagavad Gita, the Bhakti Shastri courses. Then we deeper try to understand these important books because they are solid, they give a solid foundation to Krishna consciousness. Then is regular Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya. So Gita and Bhagavad are together. Gita is post-graduation in the form of Srimad Bhagavatam. Gita is spoken by the Lord. Bhagavatam is about the Lord, spoken by the devotee, Sukdev Goswami. So Nityam Bhagavat Sevaya is now Gita as well as Bhagavatam. That is also regularly done. Canto after canto, krama, step by step, chapter after chapter. Then there is the Chaitanya Charitamrit. With your understanding, deeper understanding of Nectar of Devotion, Updeshamrit, we should regularly study the Chaitanya Charitamrit. At least weekly, once or twice, we study from starting onwards the Chaitanya Charitamrit. So like that, if we do this Krama Shravana, I'm not saying Krama Shuddha Shravandasha because that is the state, only at the stage of Nishtha it happens. Krama Shravana, if we do, then our taste for hearing Krishna Katha, we acquire the Sukriti, Tesham tu antagatam papam, Jananam punya karmanam, Te dvanda moha nirmukta, Bhajante mam drida vrata. 7.28 in the Bhagavad Gita. Tesham tu antagatam papam. So by regular hearing and studying like this, all our papa is destroyed. Bhajante mam drida vrata. You become fixed Ananya Bhakta to do your bhajan determinedly because of the purification of the heart. So then what happens? You can come to the stage of Shravan Dasha. And once you come to the stage of Shravan Dasha, then you should make sure that you don't do Kramahina Shravan Dasha. Hearing in improper sequence. Today I study the 10th canto, 5th chapter. Next day I study the 10th canto, 30th chapter of the Ras Leela pastimes. No. And if you don't know, which mood is more I'm inclined towards, then you hear Sakya pastimes, you hear Vatsalya pastimes. Your aspiration is not for a particular pastime. That is what hearing without aspiration for a particular rasa. It results in a barrier in the flow of rasa and preventing the hearer from entering entrance. So only when come to this Shravan Dasha, then you should see that you don't do Kramahina Shravan Dasha. And Krama Shuddha Shravan Dasha is, there is proper sequence. There is a proper sequence you hear in. And the resolute intelligence is there. Vyavasayatmika buddhi ekehi kurunanda. I want to, rasa. Nigama kalpataror ghalitam shukamukadambrita dravya sammitam pibata bhagavata rasamalayam muhur aho rasika bhavaka. So you have that resolute determination and where you want to hear rasa. Focused hearing is there, which will actually invoke our rasa, evocation of rasa. And we study the 10th canto. There are the Nitya Leela and the Naimiktik Leela. Okay. Now, Anyone knows what is the meaning of the Nitya Leela and the Naimittik Leela? Can raise their hands. What is the meaning of Nitya Leela and Naimittik Leela? Anyone? Okay. Yes, Mataji.
I'll try, Prabhuji. Nitya Leela are the Krishna Leelas, and Naimittik Leelas are the Ashtakaliya Leelas.
No. A little bit speculation, this is. Anyone else? Birendra Yadav Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I think Nitya Leela, it's Ashtakali Leela only. Prabhuji.
Yes. And then what is the Naimittik Leela? Pardon?
Naimittik Leela could be Prabhuji, Krishna's various pastimes.
Then Ashtakaliya Leela is not Krishna's various pastimes?
I'm confused, Prabhuji.
Yes. Yeah. See, after 15 years, 20 years spending in Krishna consciousness, we don't know that what is Nitya Leela and Naimittik Leela. Satyavrat Chaitanya Prabhuji, you would like to try? No response. Okay. So the Nitya Leela are the eternal pastimes what Krishna performs in the spiritual world, Golok Vrindavan. These are the eternal pastimes. And these pastimes throughout the day are divided into 8 into 3. Ashtakaliya Leela it is called. 8 threes are 24. So these eternally happen in the spiritual world with his eternal associates. Now when that same Krishna comes in this world, especially the appearance of Krishna. So Krishna eternally is in Kaishora age in Golok Vrindavan. But he is born where he is like a child, and then he goes to the Bal age and the Paugunda, and then he comes to the Kaishora age. So Krishna doesn't take birth in Golok Vrindavan. So the birth pastime of Krishna is only happening in Baumalila. So that's why sometimes the Baumalila pastimes are more important compared to the Nitya-Leelas. Mother Yashoda can get the highest pleasure by giving birth to Krishna and relish the Vatsalya pastimes more. Also in the Naimittik Leela, there are demons being killed by Krishna because there are no demons in the spiritual world. So the killing of demons, which along with his Nitya Leelas, which Krishna is performing here in this earth, in Golok, in Vrindavan, he is doing his Nitya Leelas here. Like, morning he gets up and then Mother Yashoda makes him ready. Then he goes for the Gocharan Leela. So the Gocharan Leela is happening in the spiritual world also. And it is happening here in Vrindavan also. But there are no demons there in the spiritual world. But here the demons come. And some Naimittik Leelas happen like killing of the demons. So here, when Krishna appears, there are both the Nitya and the Naimittik Leela. So that is why we should regularly study Krishna book as sadhakas. Later on, we should study Bhagavatam more in depth, the 10th canto, after we have finished first 9 cantos. And then more in depth, the 10th canto with the Acharya's commentaries. Or we should hear regularly from very elevated devotees, the 10th canto, from starting first chapter onwards, Krishna's birth pastimes onwards. So these are the Naimittik Leelas. And especially Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentions that for sadhakas, which is important to hear, whether the Nitya Leela or the Naimittik Leela? Anyone? Which is important for us to hear? Anyone else? Yes, Birendra Yadav Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, it's Naimittik Leela.
Why it is Naimittik Leela?
Because we can relate more closely with it.
No, nothing like that. Why the Nimitta Leela? Why the Nimitta Leela we should hear more than the Niti Leela? Anyone can try? I want you all to try. And anyone? Sunita Mataji?
Prabhuji, I'll try. Unless we are perfect understanding the Nitya Leela, we cannot understand. Unless we are perfect in the Naimittik Leela, we won't be able to understand the Nitya Leela.
Yes, to one degree, it is correct. Now, why we should hear the Naimittik Leela is because these demons which Krishna kills, these represent all the anarthas in the heart. And Bhaktivinoda Thakur has done a detailed analysis of each demon, like the Dhenukasura is the, he's compared to the mode of ignorance. So like that, all these demons in Krishna Leela represent certain specific anarthas. Putana is false guru. So like that, all these anarthas, when they're destroyed, then we can more understand the Niti Leela, as Mataji was mentioning. So the Naimittik Leela is more important for us to go more in depth. But conditioned souls, we know the Ras Leela is the Niti Leela, which Krishna performs in Vrindavan and in Golok. But conditioned souls are more interested to understand this Niti Leela of Ras Leela without having the purification of the heart, and it can cause havoc in the society. But for that, you should become free from lust. And how will become? Because if you destroy all these anarthas by hearing the Naimittik Leela. Okay. Okay. Now we are still in, we have not begun today's Sri Harinam Chintamani discussion. We have first finished now the Pratama state, Shravandasha. And now we have discussed till 63 verses that you should hear from pure-hearted souls who are in the Bhavamarg, and this is Shravandasha. We went into a lot of detail of this Shravandasha now, and we have now a clear clear idea of how elevated is Shravandasha and where are we now. And in this, there is two nature, Bhava Tattva. One is the Ekadasha Bhav, the 11 items, and second is hearing Lord Krishna's pastimes. Then the next topic, Bhaktivinoda Thakur in, let me see, 1 second. From text 64 to 68, mentions gradually one comes to Varandasha, the stage of Varandasha. So from Shravandasha, gradually one comes to the stage of Varandasha, the stage of accepting. Now let us go to the second stage now. We have all now, focused here from Shravandasha to Varandasha. How from Shravandasha you come to Varandasha is going to be explained by Bhaktivinoda Thakur here. And we'll simultaneously see also what Jaiva Dharma has to say. Radha Krishna Ashtakala Ei Leela Kare Tahara Shravana Loba Hoya Antapare. Hearing of Sri Radha Krishna's pastimes in the 8 periods of the day. Radha Krishna Ashtakale Ei Leela Kare. One comes to the stage where he yearns to join the Lord in these pastimes. So please understand now, firstly, with the Anarth Nivritti happening, you have developed taste for hearing 10th canto. Not only 10th canto, systematically, chapter by chapter, you have specifically, while going through some of the chapters, you have developed a mood for hearing more Sakya pastimes, or you have developed a mood hearing more Vatsalya pastimes, or you have developed a mood of hearing more the pastimes of Krishna with the gopis. So then you go more into that details. It doesn't mean that, once one has developed Raganuga Bhakti and his mood is of Madhurya, he doesn't hear Vatsalya pastimes. No, he relishes them also, but he has more taste for them. So slowly, what happens is the Ashtakaliya Leela, what Krishna performs throughout the 24 hours of the day in the spiritual world, that, starts manifesting. And that is spontaneous. It is spontaneous on its own. So here a very important point for sadhakas. One should not read Ashtakaliya Leela pastimes when one is not even having full faith, when he's practicing mixed devotion and some hearing and chanting and 16 rounds. One who has crossed Anarth Nivritti with the blessings of the spiritual master, this natural spontaneous, this will come. And one should not artificially try to meditate on the Ashtakaliya pastimes. It is going to create havoc in your spiritual life. So gradually this Ashtakaliya Leela, when we hear, what happens? One comes to the stage where he yearns to join the Lord in these pastimes. Tahara Shravana Lobe Hoy Antaparan. So first there was lobe in the specific mood because of the purification of the heart at the stage of Nishta. There was lobe to hear specific mood, Dasya, Sakya, Vatsalya or Madhurya. Hearing now, oh, these pastimes, I also want to enter into them. I want to enter into these pastimes. That lobe we have developed by constantly meditating on the Ashtakaliya Leela. Now, meditation is an aspect of Sparan, and Sparan can happen only with the purification of the heart. So at the stage of Nishta and further Ruchi, the purification of the heart has happened. So practically, roughly, this is the stage of Ruchi, where there is still deeper lobe. Loba hoile guru pade jigyasa udaya kemana paiba lila kahamahashay. With this desire, Loba hoile, he asks his spiritual master, Guru pade jigyasa udaya. Oh great soul, please say how I can attain these pastimes. Kemana paiba lila kahamahashay. I want to now attain these pastimes. Gurudeva kripa kari be varanana lila tatve ekadasha bhava sangatana. Then the spiritual master describes 11 items in the Lord's pastimes. So then the spiritual master gives us ekadasha bhav by Guru's mercy, varan dasha. Just to give again ground reality example to this. Many devotees have a very nice skill of participating in the dramas. Yes. Now you have a particular role to play. And to play that role in any of the pastimes, say in Ramayana, one is having the role of Lakshman or Dashrath or whatever it is. So you need, 11 items, you can say, but few items you need. One is, what is your spiritual name? And sometimes some devotees, play the, form. You need garments according to that, right? And you are in a particular group. And then you have your residence, your seva, all that, So few things in the Ekadasha Bhav, at least you need to enter into the drama and play that role in the drama. So similarly, you need this Ekadasha Bhav to enter into the pastimes and participate in the pastimes. So that happens with that intense lobe while meditating in Ashtakaliya Leela, and you now want to enter into the pastimes. You ask the spiritual master, and then he describes 11 items of pastimes. Prasanna hoya Prabhu karibe adesh ei bhava leela made karaha pravesh. Please, the spiritual master explains, with these items, you may enter the Lord's pastimes. With these items, you can enter the Lord's pastimes. There is a footnote. Let us hear this. Now, here very, very carefully, Bhaktivinoda Thakur's footnote. First, the spiritual master carefully examines the disciple's nature. If the disciple is qualified to enter Shringar Ras, the spiritual master explains the disciples' perfect Manjari form in Lalita subgroup of Sri Radha's group of gopis. Our line is, what is our line called? Anyone knows? We are who in our line of? Okay. Yes, Mataji?
We are Rupanugas.
Yes. Rupanugas means who? Who is?
We are following Rupa Manjari.
Rupa Goswami
Yes.
in our sadhana sharir, and Rupa Manjari in our spiritual look. Now,
Yes.
Rupa Manjari assists whom?
Rupa Manjari assists whom?
In the spiritual world. You can try. It's given answer here.
She assists Radharani. She assists
Not
Radharani
directly. Not directly.
through.
Okay. Who are the? Yeah. There are. Radha is assisted by the Ashtasakis.
Ashtasakis.
Among them, Lalita and Vishaka are very prominent.
Yes.
And Lalita has her group. She is the group leader. Yuteshwarish, they are called. And the assistant of Lalita Saki is Rupa Goswami or Rupa Manjari. So Manjaris, who are, so we are assistant of the gopis, Bhartu Patogamala Gas Das Anudas, as Mahaprabhu says. So Radha Krishna, there is Lalita, and in Lalita's group, subgroup is Rupa Goswami. Rupa Goswami has his own group, Rupa Manjari, and that is the line we have been connected now. You can imagine. Then the spiritual master explains the 11 items that describe the disciple's spiritual identity. Then the spiritual master explains the relationship the spiritual master and the disciple have in their original spiritual forms in the pastimes that the Lord enjoys in the 8 periods of the day, Ashtakaliya Leela. In this way, the spiritual master explains the name, form, qualities, service of the disciple's perfect original spiritual body. Finally, the disciple takes birth as a gopis, as gopi it should be, I think, in the home in Vraj, and is eventually married to a gopa. The spiritual master explains all this. Rejecting the conventional morality of the Vedas, the gopis finds a gopi Yuteshwari, a gopis who leads the group of gopis, patronesses, and eternally serves the divine couple in the pastimes. They enjoy in the 8 periods of the day, accepting Varna, this gopi's identity. The disciple enters the Smaran Dasha, meditating. In this way, the aspiring devotee takes birth as a gopis in Vraj. These words of Srimad Bhagavatam should be followed. Ya Shutva Tat Paro Bhavet. Hearing the Lord's pastimes, one becomes attached. So here, attached is Varandasha. So here, quite in detail, how one attains the Varandasha is when you are given, your identity, and then you start, you accept that identity, and with that identity, now you'll have to meditate. So then the next stage will come, which is Smaran Dasha. Now I'll just take few more minutes to complete the discussion from Jaiva Dharma. Okay, just 5 minutes, please kindly tolerate me. So that we can complete one set of verse discussion. We have completed up till here. Okay, there is one more verse, 68, that ends the section. Shuddha Rupe Siddha Bhava Kariya Shravan, Sei Bhava Sviya Chitte Karibe Varan. Hearing the soul's original spiritual form, Shuddha Rupe Siddha Bhava, and original nature, Shravan, in his heart he accepts Varan. Varan means accepts his original spiritual identity. So you accept that identity now. And with that identity, now you start, here you are as a sadhaka practicing all the rules and regulations of Vaidhi sadhana, but internally, in your chanting, you go into meditation and you have accepted that identity. And with that identity, you are also at a different level, serving, under your subgroup and group, Radha and Krishna. So there is a twofold uh, service you're doing. In the sadhaka rupa, you're doing preaching, you're doing all the activities of devotional service, but in internal meditation, the Suddha rupa, you're serving the divine couple. Now, let me go back to here. At what level is Shravan Dasha completed? So this is the same point he's saying. When a sadhaka comes to perceive Krishna Lila as transcendental and eternal, he completes Shravan Dasha. He's giving more important insights here. He understands it as transcendental. Since Krishna Lila is on the platform of pure transcendence, the Leelas are enchanting, and the devotee becomes eager to gain entrance into them. So here that lobe, Bhaktivinoda Thakur mentioned that one should have lobe now to enter into the Leelas. You're hearing the Leelas, you have a lot of taste for hearing, and after more going into this state, now you have a desire to enter into these Leelas. Then seeing the dexterity of his disciple, the Guru enumerates to his disciple, who is still a Raganuga Sadhaka, following the Ragatmika Bhakti of the Vrajvasis, the Ekadasha Bhav that I have explained previously. So then he gives the Ekadasha Bhav. When the disciple's consciousness has become nicely tuned to the ecstatic transcendental dynamism of Krishna Lila, Shravan Dasha is consummated. The disciple's lobe and ruchi is then unrestrained and is promoted to Varan Dasha, stage of acceptance. So from Shravan Dasha, how to come to Varan Dasha? Many additional points. Of course, these are the same points from Harinam Chintamani, but more in detail you can see. What are the symptoms of Varan Dasha? Okay, let us see whether we have these symptoms. Okay, we will take this one line here. The heart's spontaneous attraction is linked by the chain of the Ekadasha Bhav to Krishna Lila. The heart's spontaneous attraction is linked. Anything we see, we will meditate on our bhava. Oh, this is, if you see, like an ordinary thing I can mention. And the mother is feeding the child. The devotee is chanting and he's going and he sees the mother, reciprocating with the child. And because maybe his bhava is Vatsalya, he immediately remembers, oh, how Mother Yashoda is taking care of Krishna. So he's linked with that Ekadasha because he's identifying in the Vatsalya mood. So that's how it is linked. The heart of the disciple in whom the Ekadasha Bhav is established is undated with thirsting spiritual emotions. He comes weeping and throws himself at the lotus feet of his Guru. At this juncture, the Guru reveals his Sakhi form, and the disciple realizes his form as a gopi, maid servant of his Guru Sakhi. The disciple turned young gopi is yearning to serve her dear Sri Krishna, and the Guru is a beautiful Vraj Gopi Sakhi who has already attained the highest perfection. The disciple gives expression to his bhava at this juncture by the following shlokas, 11 and 12 from Sri Sri Prema Makharadhya Stavaraj, regal prayers bearing the nectar of pure love of Srila Raghunath Das Goswami. We should not read Raghunath Das Goswami's books because they are all referring to Prayojan Tattva without the purity of the heart. But especially we can read Manashiksha because Manashiksha will purify from us all the anarthas, especially Manashiksha verses 1 to 7 or till 8 in fact. So these are very elevated states, but Bhaktivinoda Thakur is quoting here Prema Makarandyakhya Stavaraj. What is his prayer? What is his bhava? Tvam natva yachite dhritva trinnam dante rayam jana swadhasyamrita shekhena jivayamum sudhukitam namunchet charanam yatam api dushtam dayamaya atho gandharvike haha unchainam naivatadrusham. O Radhika, Gandharvike, this most despicable and fallen soul throws herself at your feet, herself. So now his mood is more of a gopi. So gopi bhav is there, you can see. Holding straw between the teeth, Trinam danter ayam jana, I impetrate you, means I pray to you, to shower upon this inconsolable wretch. Inconsolable means, sometimes we go into material lamentation and no amount of consolation works. So now he has gone into a spiritual lamentation, inconsolable wretch, and the immortal nectar of servitorship at your swa dasyamrit shekena. Jiva mum sudukitam. He is sudukitam. Give him what? Dasyamrita shekena. Thereby resuscitating him. The kind-hearted never abandon those who are surrendered to them. Na munche charanam yatam. Thus compassionate as you are, do not forsake me. Api dushtam dayamaya. You are dayamaya, compassionate. Don't forsake me, dushtam. A soul surrendered to you. I am anxious to serve the divine couple in Vraja under the shade of your lotus feet. This mood of surrender and heartfelt yearning for the intimate service of Sri Sri Radha Krishna permeates the devotee's devotional fervor in Varandasha. So this is what is happening in Varandasha. His heart is hankering to attain that particular service to Radha and Krishna, and he's developing that genuine humility and he's in spiritual lamentation. He's yearning for that. Now the Guru, in his form as a Sakhi, gives his disciple residence in Braj, instructing him to meditate on Krishna Leela through the Ashtakali Leela and take full shelter in chanting Harinam, and assures him that soon his heart's desire for intimate loving service will be realized. Now the next part is what about Smaran Dasha? We will go to Smaran Dasha in the next class. So this again further Nija Ruchi Sri Guru Devake Balibe. Now Bhaktivinoda Thakur has spoken, but here in Harinam Chintamani he'll speak some more verses about this, and then further discussion is there about how he gives the identity, and then he accepts it, and then it comes to the Smaran Dasha is there, and then Apan Dasha is there. So this will continue our discussion in the next class of this stages. Now we are at the Varan Dasha. Any questions, any clarifications anyone has? Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji, I had this question that just now we read that the devotee, he gets birth in the
Vraja in a gopi's body.
Yeah, he gets birth in a gopi's body and in a Golok, in a Vrindavan, it is said, Bhauma Vrindavan, is it?
Yes, Bhauma Vrindavan.
So I wanted to ask that he gets birth while he is in this birth only, or
No. What exactly happens is, firstly, at Raghunaga Bhakti, he is self-realized and he has developed taste for a particular mood, and with that, chanting and always thinking about that mood and hearing these pastimes, slowly his mood becomes more solidified. He has developed taste for specific pastimes. Then he takes the shelter of the spiritual master who reveals his identity, and based on that identity he further meditates. So he's doing his devotional activities in this world, he further meditates, and now at Because now, see, at the stage of Nishta, one is transcendental. At the stage of Nishta, still is one is more in goodness, and Shuddha Sattva will come, in fact. So now in the being here in this world, he is able to serve in the spiritual world also. He's able to serve in the spiritual world. And then he moves on to Ruchi, Asakti, and Bhava. He attains Bhava. At the stage of Bhava, based on his meditation, he has attained now a spiritual body. He's got a material body, but that material body is fully spiritualized. He's got his spiritual body developed, just like I give a simple example. When the father impregnates the mother, the husband impregnates the wife, I should say, because they're still father and mother. The seed is sown, and the seed of bhava is sown in the heart. Similarly, at the stage of Nishta, our bhava is somewhat with the purity of the heart, our mood is clear. And now, just like the child starts growing in the womb, similarly, with the meditation and cultivation, the spiritual body develops. And when the mother delivers the child at 9 months, similarly, when the bhava fully manifests and our swarupa is revealed, at the stage of bhava, our swarupa is revealed, our rasa, and then there is bhava bhakti is direct, spontaneous devotion towards Krishna. At Raganuga, there is spontaneous mood to follow the eternal associates, the Ragatmika Bhaktas, at Raganuga stage. But Raganuga becomes, when one attains Bhava Bhakti, that spontaneity is only towards Krishna. And at the stage of Bhava, one has attained Apandasha, and then with Prema, one attains Sampati. So when such a perfected devotee leaves this world, by sadhana attains Siddhi, then he takes birth in any of the universes where Krishna is performing his pastimes, and there he is born in a spiritual body. And then finer training, he is able to, he is sadhaka who has attained Siddhi. They are called as sadhanachari gopis, the Nandadaranya rishis and the Shrutichari gopis. So there they are sadhakas who are qualified to enter Krishna's pastimes. So along with the Nitya Siddhas, they get further trained, the Nitya Siddhas further train them. And when Krishna winds that pastimes in the spiritual, in that Bhauma Vrindavan, then they become Nitya Siddhas and go back to the spiritual world. Is it clear, Mataji?
Yes, Prabhuji, because I asked this question because when the 11 things are revealed, the devotee starts serving the Lord in this same body.
Yes. At different levels, his service goes on increasing from Nishta, Ruchi, Asakti. Further, fine Ekadasha Bhavas of his identity become more and more clear. So that's a very elaborate subject, and the subject matter is dealt by our acharyas in their books, but it requires very expert guidance from a spiritual master, and it is a very confidential topic about each individual's one, which the spiritual master and disciple only discuss. But as a general subject, we can discuss because it is given in our books. We should know what is, the perfection. Okay, Reena Mataji has one question. Those who would like to leave also can leave, or if you want to stay back for the question answers, I'm okay with both. Yes, Mataji.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Dandavat Pranam. Actually, madam, just Shravan Dasha, can you repeat in short in Shravan Dasha? Hello, Hare Krishna.
Dasha, what exactly?
Hare Krishna. Shravan Dasha from starting to end, but in a short, how can we understand? Yes.
Oh, we had an elaborate and one class on this Shravan Dasha this week and last.
Yes. But in just in 3-4 lines, and we can really we can smart हम लोग को याद करके कि this is a Shravan Dasha.
So firstly we need to understand that right now what we are doing is we are Hearing from sadhus, gurus, Gita, Bhagavatam, or all spiritual mentors, by which we are attaining Sukruti, Bhakti Unmukh Sukruti. And most of the time we are engaged in our conditioned nature where we are doing activities. So like that, hearing, when one attains pure faith, and he says, now I need not do anything. I just have to practice Ananya Bhakti. That practice of Ananya Bhakti, where one quickly goes through the purification and attains the stage of Nishtha, there in Anishtita Bhajan Kriya, he is doing only Shravana Krishna Katha only, but his Shravan is distracted sometimes because of the Anarthas. But at Nishtita Bhajan Kriya, his Shravan has acquired taste. And now he feels Tat Tat Bhava Madhuri Lipsuna. I also want to attain this mood. Then Shravan Dasha he has attained. And now further, he is more specific, mood is more clear, and he wants to now hear those pastimes always, continuously. And his desire now is now to enter into the pastimes. So for that, he needs the Ekadasha Bhav. Just like you want to participate in a drama, so you need your identity in the drama, you need your dress, your form, your role and service in the drama. So similarly, at the stage of Varandasha, there is the acceptance of your identity from the spiritual master, and then there is more taste in the specific pastimes you want to hear, and then you further progress in the Ashtakalya Leela in the Smarandasha. In the Smarandasha, the remembrance of the eightfold pastimes goes through 5 levels of progression, which we will be discussing hopefully in the next class. So tomorrow we have a class. So tomorrow we will discuss more about Varandasha, and then we will go to the Smarandasha. Okay. Any other further questions, clarifications? Fine. I'll just summarize what we discussed today. Today we began with basically Shravan Dasha. We went more into detail of what we know that Ekadasha Bhav, to attain, you go through these 5 states. So we saw from Jaiva Dharma the Shravan Dasha stage. And now we are very clear Shravan Dasha. We are not at Shravan Dasha. We are not even at Anishtita Shravan Dasha. We are just at the stage where we are attaining Sukruti for developing the Shraddha, pure faith. And we are doing mixed devotion along with some direct devotion in the form of hearing, chanting 16 rounds, hearing Krishna Katha. And from the Shravan Dasha, we go to the Varandasha. This we heard from Jaiva Dharma, and also we saw the verses from Sri Harinam Chintamani from text 64 to 68, gradually how one comes to the stage of Varandasha. There is deeper desire now in Varandasha to enter into the pastimes, and he takes the guidance of the spiritual master. He expresses his intense greed, and the spiritual master gives him the identity, which he accepts, and now his Ekadasha Bhavs gradually, or all, I don't know, frankly, are slowly he starts meditating on that, and it is progressive. It is progressive and step by step, which happens, the Varandasha. So tomorrow we'll continue with the discussion of Varandasha. Thank you very much. Shri Harinam Chintamani ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada ki